the underdogs. I'm an underdog. I've been through it all. I can never.
What's good, you guys? Welcome back to For the Underdogs podcast. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm excited to talk to my guest today. This man ghosted me for about 2 months and finally answered my text a couple of weeks ago. And I'm just happy that he did because I've been wanting to have a conversation with him. Brooks Reed, former NFL player from the University of Arizona. How many years did you get? How many years?
You weren't happy to say
that. No, I didn't. You'll probably be the
breezed
only.
over that real quick.
Yeah, you'll be the only Wildcat I'll have on the podcast just because you're a good dude.
Bro,
so
we're teammates, man.
Yeah. How many years did you get in the league, man?
I did 10.
10 years.
Barely 10, yeah. And I don't know if we ended with the same team. I ended with Tennessee. With the Braves. So.
Yeah. I ended up going to after I left Tennessee, I went to Buffalo and then the Giants. So we just missed each other there. But we did play together in Atlanta, which was super cool. But I want to start with your journey, first off, from University of Arizona. It kills me to say that every time. to getting drafted to Houston.
Yeah, we battled, man. When we were some good teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have a really good squad now.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I feel like we trade off and on. Depends on, if the head coach stays or not.
Yeah, that rivalry is deep. I don't think people understand how deep that rivalry goes.
It is, man. You're like, when you're there, you get brainwashed.
Yeah, no, you do.
Like, we hate these guys.
Absolutely.
But, no, since I've been done playing, man, it's like all my neighbors, I'm living up here in Phoenix now. So a lot of my neighbors, ASU guys, and I'm cool with all them. So,
that's good.
But it's a good mix. But, so I was there from 2006 to 2010, drafted to 2011 to the Texans, stayed there for 4 years, was under Kubiak.
Yeah.
And then signed with the Falcons. And that when we crossed paths, that was, I think, in 2017. I was there for 4 years, so I left in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals 2019 under Cliff Kingsbury. And then Tennessee in 2020, that COVID year.
Yeah. Oh, that was a tough year. What was it like? So you get drafted to the Texans. You come in as a rookie. And I don't know if people know, but that defense was loaded. You guys had JJ.
Bro, I swear I was the only guy that wasn't a Pro Bowler or All-Pro on that team that year.
And that doesn't happen.
Like Antonio Smith. I was backing up Mario Williams.
And D'Amico Ryans was there.
And Brian Cushing in the middle.
Yeah.
And then Connor Barwin and Sean Cody, and then Daniel Manning, Jonathan Joseph, Kareem Jackson.
Yeah, you guys were loaded.
Bro, I didn't realize at the time. And then Wade Phillips just dialing up all the blitzes.
Yeah.
And it was so fun, bro. I was like, man, I love that.
And that was your rookie year, right?
That was my rookie year.
And you were productive though.
Yeah, Mario Williams tore his pec one game. And then that's kind of when I started about week 5 or 6. And then, we went on a tear, bro. We just breezed through a bunch of teams, like really good teams. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
is this how it's supposed to be? Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went to the franchise's first playoff game.
Nice.
And beat Bengals, and then we lost to the Ravens in Baltimore, but competed. We had TJ Yates at quarterback. Matt Schaub went down. Right before playoffs. So, but he balled. So, it's always like woulda, coulda, type of thing. But it was just a special team, and you've been part of special teams too,
Absolutely.
and not everyone can say that.
Absolutely,
and it's like. It's just the luck of the draw when you get to NFL. You're just happy you're on a team. Bro. All you're worried about is making a roster. And if you win, it's, just the cherry on top. But,
Talk about what it was like being that young guy coming into a defense like that and having to kind of make a name for yourself and gain the respect of the older guys, because people don't get a glimpse of what that's like. Like when you're a young guy coming into the league, you're silent, and then you start to gain respect by the plays you make. Talk about that from a defensive player standpoint.
Well, I was lucky because the leadership was so great on that team. Established guys, vets. My locker mate next to me was D'Amico Ryans, and as you know, like who else would you want to be next to, man? And he was.
Has he always been like that? What you see now?
Yeah. And he was just like all about helping the young guys, you know, and he'd give me, you know, like, hey man, like pay attention to the special teams meeting, like, and would like tell me how he played it, you know, like, and he wasn't a dick or anything.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just a huge array of personalities on that team. And there were the funny guys, the serious guys, the leaders, the vocal leaders, the by example leaders, you know, so it was just a crazy good team. I didn't even realize I was on until later. I was like, wow, man, I was part of something really special. And even offense, man, it's like we were clicking. And, you know, to what you're asking, you know, I don't think I said a thing for a few months. Like all I tried to do was just, you know, participate as hard as I could, you know, and learn as much as I could. And, you know, be that guy that, you know, if a guy goes down, like just assume I'm playing every week, you know, and that was my mentality. You know, because that's what happens, man. You're backing up, and all of a sudden, someone gets injured. You know, that happens all the time on the line. I know you know that. And you get thrown in, and if you got to be on your shit. Like I didn't want to be that guy where like, oh shit, Brooks Reed's in, like, you know, just waiting for him to fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you prove yourself through practice too, like busting your ass, giving good looks, you know, and that's how you kind of get your respect, and you know, and you know, just carrying your load as a rookie. You know, I understood, you know, like rookies don't get treated the best. I didn't care, like carrying pads. All right, give me your pad.
And you came into the league in a time where I feel like that was like the last bit of the old school.
It was, bro. You know? That was I mean, I didn't even do camp.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do OTAs.
Yeah.
I was just thrown in like right before the season. That's like, because the CBA took a while to get done. And so I was just thrown into a fire, bro. And in Houston, record heat outside.
Training camp is brutal
like
out there. 2
IVs every day during camp. Like I would lose, I was lean. Like I would lose 12 pounds
easily.
And I was chugging, you know, it's like, it was brutal.
Yeah. Would you say that you talked about D'Amico Ryans a little bit? I'm like fascinated by, you know, his journey and where he's at now as a head coach. And you spoke about how he was your locker mate. Would you say that he had the biggest impression on you as you moved through, you know, your career? Because when I got to Atlanta, I saw that in you as well. Like, you were an older guy at that point, older guy, but like you know, you made it easy to have a conversation with you. And like, if you beat me on something, you would tell me, hey, this is what I saw. Like, not like you said, not being a dick, but would you say that he kind of molded you to be that way?
Yeah, in a way, man. He was I tell people all the time, he was kind of my mentor, you know, an older guy I can go to. And everyone, you know, called him Cap. You know? He was just that guy, you know, smart, you know, leader, everything you could want. And everyone knew, like, someday you're going to be a great coach.
For sure.
Like, he was the one during that CBA in 2011, you know, he'd organize practices at Rice University. And, you know, we'd go through everything. He'd be trying to teach the playbook to everyone. And just be walking through stuff. And, yeah, he was that guy, like, especially my rookie year, you know, I'd go to if I had a question or, you know, something about defense. And then Brian Cushing was that dude that would just, like, talk shit to you, you know, like make you laugh, you know. And so you need
that good mix. I've always found 1,000%. That, like, the best teams that I've been on have had that mixture of guys that, you know, could go on and be a head coach, but then you got, we call them, like, you know, just the jokesters in the locker room, but they're about their business. And then you got your guys that just put their head down and work. Like, those teams typically are the best teams that you're on.
I feel like everyone on that D was a jokester, except for D'Amico. D'Amico was like the one serious dude. I'm like, shh. And everyone knew, like, man, you take any of these guys out, no matter what, there's going to be a drop off.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure. I mean, it's some dogs on there.
Yeah. I mean, we had a number 1 rated D for, you know, most of the year. If you look at, like, the average yards per game, you know, you could look at any stat.
Yeah.
You know, but, no, we would definitely win some games for sure.
Hell yeah. So then,
and that crowd, it was so loud, you know, because it's all old Oiler fans, you know, first time being in playoffs. But I remember playing the Falcons in 2011. It was like to, you know, be eligible for playoffs and stuff. And it was so loud, like none of the O-line could hear any of the checks. And they're going, what he said? Like, he had to call a timeout because it was so loud.
People don't understand how loud stadiums get. It's a good feeling.
And you got the whole crowd behind you is, new for them. And it was an awesome environment.
And then, so fast forward to, you obviously spend 4 years with the Texans and then get to Atlanta in free agency. Mm-hmm. And I think I missed you. I got there in 17. Mm-hmm. So was your first year 16?
15.
15.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had been there 2 years.
That was Dan Quinn's first year.
That was Dan Quinn's first year. And I want to talk about that. Like, I want to talk about Dan Quinn because I'm not surprised at what he was able to accomplish with the Commanders this year, given how he used to run the building. Mm-hmm. Everything's about competition. It's the brotherhood. It's dog mentality. And it's so contagious. I remember when I walked in that building, like, I'm coming from New England, a place that was high caliber, but not from the aspect of how Dan Quinn ran things.
Right.
How was that experience with Dan Quinn? Are you surprised at what he did this year as well?
No, man. He does such a good job at establishing the culture.
Yeah. That's what it is, and culture.
He did that in Seattle, Falcons, obviously. And, and he just surrounded himself with so many good coaches too, man. Mm-hmm. Like, think about how many head coaches came out of that team.
Yeah.
Like 5, I think. Right?
For sure.
Mike McDaniel, Raheem Morris. Shanahan.
Yeah. Brick was there. I mean, he went on to be a DC.
Packers,
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah. Dude,
a lot of guys.
Dude, so many.
Yeah.
And it was just a great environment, And all the coaches were just so supportive of the players, and we just, I've been on teams where it's like, you have to play a certain way and you can't go inside. And it was like Dan Quinn was like every pass rusher's dream to have, what I mean? Like, he was just as long as you win, man.
Yeah, go get it.
He's like, we're going to keep this simple for you.
Yeah. What does that do for you mentally when you have a coach that allows you to do that?
It's fun, man. It's he's all about. It was weird going from like an offensive-based coach from the Texans, like Bill O'Brien, and then Kubiak, to them never coming in your meeting room ever, to Dan Quinn's like running these pass rush practices during the week, and the plan. He's got the plan already. He's got the blitz. He's like, you're watching film of these O-lines and trying to figure out a plan how to pass rush these guys. So it was fun to do that. You know what I mean? You didn't want to let him down. Because like. For me, he stood up on a table for me to bring me there. He's like, man, I've, watched your film in Houston. He's like, I love the way you competed. And he's like, I want just you to do the same thing here. No pressure. Like, he's like, just bring that dog every time, bro.
That's him. That's how he talks.
Just do what we coach. Just do what we coach you to do, dude, and just keep doing what you're doing. So
did you have other places that you were considering in free agency, and were you close to signing somewhere?
Not really. Atlanta was really like right there.
Yeah.
They were most interested. And I was kind of coming off of surgery, like hip surgery.
Yeah.
I had like that sports hernia.
Yeah.
And so, I think that kind of like turned some other teams off. So
I got you.
Like I finished the year and everything, but it, just one of those things. But they saw, something in me that they could utilize. So it worked, dude. Like it took a year for me, that transitional year, like 2015 for me wasn't like, it was just slow, and I was hurt, like, injured fingers and wrists, which for a D lineman, O lineman, like, there's nothing worse. You can't do your job.
It's everything.
But 2016 it's like, man, everyone bought in. You brought in some, some great minds. And it all clicked, man, and stayed healthy. And as like, for a good team to make it far, you need to stay healthy. I mean, and that's out of your control.
For sure. What was that year like in 15? You said you battled a ton of injuries. Mentally, what was that like, kind of pushing yourself to stay in the process? Because you have to be clocked in. You can't check out, or else you kind of get lost in the shuffle. What was that like for you mentally to battle through that year?
Well, it's like I never thought about the money thing, playing football. I just like, it'll just take care of itself. But then when you sign like, a contract and you're getting paid more than what you were the last 4 years, you automatically put that pressure on yourself to perform. And by perform, I mean like, you're getting sacks, you're getting tagged, you know what I mean? And
being productive.
You're showing them like, this is the reason, like, you're justifying them paying you. So that's the way I thought about it, and it wasn't happening for me. So it was kind of like it hurt to not to perform the way I know how I could, and and I never was like, oh, like I can't get all these stats that I know I'm capable of because of injuries and stuff. And so it was definitely frustrating, but it made me better. And I trained. One of my best off seasons was going up into 2016, and just was like, I always treated every year like I was on the chopping block anyway. I put that much pressure on myself. Like it was probably not good, but
why do you say that?
I feel like a lot of guys do that.
Absolutely.
I mean? Like if you don't have that mentality, like you think you're safe every year, even if you're a starter. It's like, bro, I felt like every year I played, they drafted someone in the first or second round in my position.
Yeah.
Like I can go through every single year, Houston and Atlanta, and but no, I just always went back to that. Like, hey, this guy is a competitor and he needs to be on the field. Doesn't matter if he's outside linebacker, DN, six technique, just something, even if it's special teams. And I did not mind playing special teams, run down on kickoff. Back when the kickoff was those
the real kickoff. Yeah.
You had to break wedges and stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, I used to be on the wedge. That was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh man, every guy's just when they first come out with the where you are on the kickoff return, you're like, please don't be on the
wedge. Please, man. Some of the hardest hits I've taken have been on kickoff return.
Dude, guys don't realize. That was but I was just willing to do the dirty work, when it kind of came time to like, show what I can do. And, I always thought that was my in through the NFL, and it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going back to what D'Amico Ryans always harped on me is like, hey, don't worry about defense, worry about special teams, because that's the way you're going to make a team. And, that's the way you're going to immediately impact. And, when your turn is up to play defense,
be there.
You'll be ready.
Yeah.
But, just focus on specialty. And a lot of guys, it's like, I feel like they're getting rid of special teams.
Yeah, no, they are. And it's going to hurt, like you said, guys' jobs, because a lot of people, I mean, you see guys that have been in the league 12, 13 years that have just specifically focused on special teams, and then they trickle in on defense here and there, but they make their money on special teams.
Kickoff was my money maker. Yeah, dude. Like just running down there.
L5. Were you L5 or R?
Yeah, I was like either a 4 or 5.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't fast enough to be the 3.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it was definitely my way, and I was lucky. I was drafted in the second round. I always tell people like, for the majority of guys, after the second or third round, like you gotta, you don't have many ops.
Yeah, I was a 4th round pick.
Like, like you got to be on your stuff. Like, if you're a first or second rounder, maybe they give you some chances, in a year to develop. So it was almost like, being a red shirt,
absolutely.
Just like you have that extra time to develop. But midway through my rookie year, I was throwing in on, but I was prepared. So
you talk about having that mentality from like every year thinking you're on the chopping block, and how that may not be the smartest or healthiest way to go about it. I had that same mindset though. Like 4th round pick, I start my rookie year, things go south, they fire the coach, I get benched. Next thing I know, I'm cut. I'm going to New England. Like, so from then on, to me, everything was, if I lose a rep, that's it. And it's not a good way to operate, but so many guys are in that fight or flight mode of like, this rep is everything for me, and that's just the nature of the business.
Right. You only get so many, man. It's like there's so many guys fighting for a job, and it's just when you're up, you got to perform.
Yeah.
You don't have time to you got to spend time after practice, going up against guys.
Yeah.
And I know like there'd be O linemen coming up to me like, hey, can you just give me some like, it doesn't have to be full speed, but just show me your hands.
Yeah,
like, you can't practice against a bag.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, dude, like, let's do this.
Yeah,
like,
I respected that about you, because you were always one of those guys that would do something like that. If someone's asking you for advice or someone needs a look, like you were one of those guys, and you knew that it was coming from a good place. I respected that about you.
Oh, thanks. But that, again, that came from the leadership before, like when I first came on.
Yeah.
So it kind of like rubbed off on me, so I always felt like, even if the guy was drafting my position and we were going to be competing for a job, like I'm gonna like Tack McKinley. Like I was always trying to get him, you know.
Yeah, that is true. You were.
You're like just trying to help him and you know, and get him to relax and stuff. Cause you know, you see yourself in the younger guys.
For sure.
Like, damn, I was that same way. I was just so uptight and afraid to mess up and stuff. But you know, that's just the way it is.
Not all older guys look at it that way though. Some older guys look at it as like, oh, this guy's younger. He's in my position. I'm just gonna let him figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like the toxic way I feel like to go about it. Whereas like, I feel like it serves you better to help a younger guy,
right?
Because now your respect at the end of the day is there,
right.
and your legacy is different as opposed to like, I never helped a younger guy out of the spite. I didn't want him to take my job, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it made you better you're helping a guy, but it's also pushing you to stay on your stuff as well.
Exactly, dude. Just passing it down, dude. And you know that he's going to do that for a younger guy. Just the way that you treated him, you know. And
man, Brooks is a good dude, man. Brooks, you're a good dude, bro. I want to talk about, you are, man. I want to talk about, so we fast forward to 16, right? That's Super Bowl year in Atlanta. And I want to talk about that because obviously we got the Super Bowl coming up. I want your prediction first. Who's going to win the Super Bowl between, you know, KC and Philly, and why? Tell me why. Give me your analytics around it.
You know, I'm thinking Eagles, man.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I, you know.
Up front, is that why?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know? I think like they're stronger up front. You know, as long as you get those big dogs up, block those
for sure
big dogs up front for Kansas City.
For KC.
Yeah. Because they could take over games.
Absolutely.
Like, that's how, you know,
Chris Jones, you know, he's a game wrecker.
Yeah. He ruined, you know, he helped win him that last one for him.
He did.
You know, he was such a, you know, an effective guy in that game. So I think, you know, they learned their lesson and they're hurt, you know.
Yeah,
I feel like they got a little payback.
Okay. So. Yeah, we'll see how that prediction.
My boy, Connor Barwin is there.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
I tried to make that take a red eye to the last
the game.
Yeah,
okay.
It didn't happen. But that's kind of my prediction, and I think Saquon's gonna to go off.
I think he'll have a big game.
If he does, you know,
you
know, you get that running game going in the Super Bowl, you can control the game.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll see how your prediction rolls out. I want to talk about.
How about you?
Man, I think it's hard for me to count out Pat Mahomes, but I do.
So clutch.
I am paying attention to the trenches, and not that KC's O-line is bad at all.
Yeah.
Not that, you know, I just think that the Eagles will control the game.
Yeah.
And
like, what do you watch during a game? Like, I personally I just watch like the D line the whole time. Like, I'm not looking at nothing else.
I'm watching the line.
Yeah.
I'm watching from center out. You know, like. And then I go to the play. Okay, you know.
It's like that's why I always ask like players, because you know they always watch their position, of course. Know, but it's like, but then if you ask someone that never played, you know,
they just watch the quarterback and where the ball goes. Yeah. No, I'm strictly like, to me, like I'll make a noise like, oh my goodness, and it's because I'm watching.
Right, like what happened? Nothing happened on the play.
The D tackle just bulled the center back. Like, you know, no one's watching that though. But yeah, I think the Eagles might get it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it would be kind of cool to see the 3P with Pat Mahomes. I think he is like that next GOAT in our, you know, generation.
Might be in the script, man. It might be in the script.
You believe in the script?
I don't know, man. You know, when I'm scrolling on my phone, I'm seeing all this stuff with the refs. You know, I'm like, I mean, it's something that wouldn't surprise me.
How do you get 11 guys though? I've never heard of the script when I was playing. How do you get 11 guys to abide by the script? Taylor, you believe in the script?
I don't know.
Sign NDAs, you know.
I don't know. I mean, they do it in the government, so
yeah.
I think Taylor Swift is going to win.
Oh man, yeah, that might be a thing for sure. So yeah, in 16, we talked about you being on this monstrous team or this monstrous defense in Houston. 16, I feel like on paper that Atlanta Falcons team, probably one of the best teams
offensively,
best offense, and defensively. You guys were it was just a bunch of dogs flying around. But offensively,
it was a bunch of no-name guys. Not no-name guys, but guys that not any stars.
Yeah, but you guys played hard and played together.
Yeah, remember Rico Allen back there.
Rico, Keanu
telling everybody
Neal,
what to do.
Yeah, like
a bunch of young guys.
Yeah.
Like, we had 2 rookie middle linebackers that year, and they were balling.
Yes.
Like, they were not playing like rookies.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the reason why they're still playing.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. And then that goes to show, you know, how good of a coach Jeff Ulbrich was.
Yeah,
you know?
Brick is a monster.
And just believing in those 2 guys and helping them believe in that, you know, because that's a huge job. That's the biggest job. That's like being the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Like, who else has done that?
Yeah.
You know, in the NFL. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened.
No.
You just have 2 starting middle linebackers, you know, and safety.
Yeah.
And they were.
You guys were balling.
They didn't care.
No.
You know, I love their attitude.
Yeah. And that was probably a fun team to play on. I want to talk about losing that Super Bowl, though, because I feel like people don't understand when teams put everything they have into get into the Super Bowl and you lose in that fashion, it changes careers for everybody in the building. Say you guys win that Super Bowl, prolonged careers, other coaches get better jobs, higher jobs, but you guys don't. And I feel like when I got there in 2017, it was like the chase to get back there. And like one thing I've always heard is like everyone says they'll be back, but it never truly happens. Talk about that dynamic of like getting there and losing, and then what that means for, you know, players in the organization.
Yeah. No, you nailed it, dude. Like, you know, you're on a team like that with that many great coaches and players, and everything's just clicking and everyone's watching you, and like, man, this team is special, you know, and there's a reason why all the coaches are now head coaches.
Yeah.
And like guys got signed on to bigger deals later on, you know, and that's just what happens, you know, like they want, you know, winners on the team and have it figured out, you know. And I know we lost that game, but you know, that doesn't discount the fact that we had some great coaches.
Absolutely.
And players and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, it is so hard to come back and do it again, which we still made it to
the playoffs.
Lost against Philly.
Yeah, lost against Philly.
And, you know, but it was, we lost to them the same way 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
You know, like, about to score, throw it up to Julio, you know, and they defended it.
Yeah.
Like, dang, that is crazy how that happened. But, you know, it's just like I was saying earlier, like the luck of the draw to be on a great team like that, you know, and you don't know how great it's going to be until, you know, you get done with camp and play your first few games. It's like, man, you know, just keep everyone healthy, man. And, you know, and the guys are backing up, or, you know, guys that are good, solid, you know, like someone goes down, next man up mentality, and it wasn't any drop off. But it was a special team, man, and I felt like we had all the vets were all up front, you know, with Tyson Jackson, and then Dwight Freeney running the meet.
Yeah, you had a young Vic Beasley.
I watched. It was so cool to play with him that year. Because I watched his film like in my college days. It's the only reason why I spun so much, bro. Because I watched him, like studied how he set it up.
He had a mean spin move too,
bro. He was my favorite player. Him and Mathis in Indianapolis, just absolutely destroying teams. It was so fun. When we played team, like, you know, when I was in Houston, we'd play Indy, and I just watched those guys too.
Yeah, the whole time.
You know, I watched Dwayne Brown try to block him.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, you know, helping Dwayne try to spin on it, you know, and getting him ready and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to replicate this.
Yeah, but I'll give you my best shot for sure.
But it was so cool playing with him and those veteran guys, and the meeting rooms were fun. And we just played loose, man. And that's all they just kind of emphasized, you know, based off the year before that. And you could just tell everyone was tight, trying to like prove themselves to a new coach. And, you know, so that year, everyone was loose. You know, we're playing, you know, with so many young guys. And I think, you know, initially the coaches were like, we got nothing to lose. Let's just, you know, put it all out there and just play your ass off. Don't overthink anything. Just make plays. You know, and that's what we did. And everyone contributed, and it was definitely a fun year. And, you know, it's one of those years where, you know, everyone kind of stayed healthy, like I keep saying, man, because that's the most important part.
Do you look at it now as like, did you know in the moment that would be one of the like best teams you played on, or like one of the best experience you have? Because like I feel like, you know, when I reflected post career, and it was like, damn, you know, the team I played on with the Titans, we go to the AFC Championship, lose to Pat Mahomes, and like, unfortunately, like you said, you don't, like a lot of people don't get back to that, and you don't spend time with that team anymore. Like I moved on and went to Buffalo, you know. Did you know at that time that would be, you know, the dynamic between you and that team? Did you think that the following year you would have, you know, another chance? What was that like?
Yeah, like when Matt Ryan was just throwing bombs all practice to Mohamed Sanu and Gabriel and Julio, I was like, dude, man. This, and our old line was legit. We had a bunch of vets. Yeah. Like, I was like, and a running back that you had two running that was backs. Hungry.
Yeah, Free and Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, and those two guys were like Ben Tate and Arian Foster. Yeah. It was like very similar to the Texans feel. I was like, you know, we had multiple great receivers and running backs and great O-line, and I was like, dude, you know, we got a chance. It's, you know, as we were saying, like from year to year, every team changes. It's like, now it's like college, bro. Yeah. College is like, oh, I don't like it here, I'm not playing, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And every team is different, you know?
What's your thoughts on how the college football landscape has changed?
I think it's so different than when we played.
Yeah.
In some ways it's good that, you know, like the transfer portal, because I remember some guys like, man, I committed to this school because of this coach.
Yeah.
And a coach does good one year, and then they get hired to be a coach, and they bring in some guy that's the total opposite. You're not going to get utilized. It's like, dude.
Yeah, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you couldn't transfer the way that you did. You know, you'd be penalized and all that. So now you know, I'm sure you know, like JUCO guys are getting that extra year.
Yeah.
So it's like, I might as well just play JUCO.
Yeah.
Just get a year of experience, get bigger and stronger, focus there, and then come back, and I still have, you know, my 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, you're older if you are good.
I know.
You know, because then now all of a sudden it's like, as soon as you hit 30 in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I came into the league at 27, 28. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, maximize those first couple of years, get your bag, and then
because you old linemen, man, you guys could play till you're 38 years old. Yeah, and no one bats an eye that you're 38 as long as you're doing your job.
As long as you're being productive and efficient.
Defense is different. You know, it's like you have to have such an edge about you and like tenacity and stuff. It's like I remember I was like 30 or 31, and they're like,
I was gonna ask,
Brooks Reed, the only 30-year-old in the room, clap it up for Brooks. I'm like, oh shit.
Was that Brave saying that?
I can't remember who said it, but they put me on the spot. They're like, damn, Brooks Reed, you're almost as old as your number.
And it's crazy because you're really not old, but there is
such a young man's game.
Yeah,
dude. Especially on D. It's like you just experience a lot of wear and tear.
What was that feeling like when you started to notice, or did you have any feelings around when you started to notice that you weren't feeling the same as far as like physically or whatever, and you could tell that there was a drop off coming? What was that like?
You know, I think I always relied on my training, you know, and I felt like, man, if I had a good off season of training and stuff, like I could, you know, beat my body up pretty good and throw my head in there a lot and be fine, which it did. Like, and I would know if I had a great off season or not, you know, and you know, as you keep playing, your off seasons get less and less intense. You know, you get a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
And you don't notice it. And you train a little bit less harder. You know, you're not. You know, you get married, you have a kid, and all of a sudden, like your kids are on your mind. Yeah. It's like your time is spent differently. You know, you're taking trips, and you know, you got a baby to take care of, bro. It's just so much different than when you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you're younger and you don't have those. It's just like, you know, that's part of the reason why it's a young man. You know, it's like you throw your body in there, you don't care, you know, because it's just you out there and everyone doubting you. And, you know, you're an underdog and you want to, you know, just prove something to someone. You got a chip on your shoulder. And you kind of lose that chip as you get older, bro, no matter, you know.
It is crazy.
No matter how strong it was when you were younger. So
no, it is crazy. No one talks about how that, you know, you having these major milestones in life, like you said, you get married, you have a kid, and all these things, like it does change your dynamic with the sport because you start to think about other things first.
Yeah, you're like, when is it enough? You know? Then you're like, when, and then you start thinking like, man, I think I've made enough to where I could support my family and I don't have to run down on kickoff and bust my head.
Yeah, dude.
I still want to be able to. I want to come out of this healthy now.
Absolutely.
Where it's like you didn't even think about that. You're just like, I want to play until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't.
When did that hit you? When did that hit you? Like when did you say, okay, this is real. Let me take a step back.
Yeah, probably. You know, going into Arizona, you know, it was just I had a different role and expectation of me. You know, I was very specific kind of role guy. You know, I was backing up Terrell Suggs and Jones, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Chandler
was like,
Jones,
And I was like, I love it. Was just so, that team it was crazy. It was just like, man, I like got comfortable being like having a backup role, you know. It's like, I'm not going to beat these guys out no matter how good I play.
Yeah.
Know, unless they get hurt, whatever.
Yeah.
Which I never wish that.
Right.
But like, I did special teams and everything and just tried to do that, you know. And I had a newborn, you know, and that was 2019. And that's when we moved out here. But, you know, I was like, just different. Like, I'm not going to just absolutely try to hit this dude as hard as I could anymore. I was like, let me just make this tackle. You know, because as you know, like as a defensive guy, if you're not producing, you're going to be gone.
Right.
You know? So I was like, let me just try not to hurt myself making this tackle instead of thinking like, let me hurt this guy that I'm about to tackle.
Yeah, and it almost hurts you at the end of the day to have that mentality.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
you can't last long with that mentality. So that's kind of when I knew. I was like, yeah, my goal was always to try to play 10 years or more. You know, and if I got extra, that was just the cherry on top. But I just, you know, it was cool to say that I lasted that long, and you did too. You know what it takes to survive a season. You know the equation of how to, you know, make a team and stay on a team and contribute. You know, and you don't have to do everything. You know, you just need to have a role. You know, everyone's so special and different. You know, it's like if you could find a job to do on the field, like you'll stick around because other teams have other needs that are similar to, you know.
For sure. Are you satisfied with how your career turned out? Like, do you have any regrets around it?
I am, dude. Like, I'm so, like, if you would have shown me a picture of what my career went, you know, and said like, hey, this is what's happening. Like, you know, played in the Super Bowl, you played 10 years. You know, we're on some great teams. You made some great friends, great relationships, you know, and stayed healthy. You know, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I would pay so much money to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, of course, like winning is to have that, you know, you know, you get there. It sucks to lose that, but it's like, you know, there's only one happy team at the end of the season, bro. It's so hard.
It is.
And it was cool to say, you know, you went up against the best and you gave it your all, you know, on the biggest stage. You know, and you gave all you got. So, you know, there were no regrets. Do I think like I could have had a better career, you know, or some better off seasons where I could have been like just 1,000% just in
dedicated
the gym
to
rat, you know what I mean? And, you know, where I cut off relationships and stuff, you know, probably, but it would have hurt my other relationships that I kind of, you know.
What you mean by that? Tell me what you mean by cutting off certain people.
Well, just like, you know, like friends that ask you to come on a trip. You know what I'm saying? Like your boys that want you to come out and, you know, take a boys trip, you know, during the off season or travel.
And you want to do it, but
with your girlfriend, wife, fiance, whoever it is. And it's hard to say no to that. You know, because you finally got the money to do all that and experience life. And at some point in your career, you want to share these experiences with, you know, a person, you know? You know, and I was like, man, you know, it gets pretty lonely, you know, in the NFL for some people, like, because you want to work so hard, but you also want to share it with somebody, you know. And so that's the way you know, because you're doing that through high school, college, NFL. It's like 25 years of football. It's just like, dude, like you don't want to have to get through the end of it and, you know, meet somebody and they have no idea how hard you worked to get there and the struggles you go through. It's like, that was me, you know, like that's my struggles, you know, and hardships that I experienced. Like, my wife got to see some of that. So I'm happy she was able to, because she can understand
what you put into it.
And, like, the reason why I, who I am. And I thought that was pretty important that she could see that and how hard that was, because, even though my kids will never see that, and they'll just see like highlight reels and stuff like that.
For sure.
Like she knows, and, I can at least pass that on. But yeah.
That's big. Do you think that, shoot, I had a good question in the back of my mind when you were talking. Do you think that, you were talking about like missing out on things, like, and something that I had a hard time dealing with was like, like you said, it does get lonely when you're playing in the NFL, because you do have to kind of put a governor on certain things, and you miss out on a bunch of holidays or miss out on birthdays, all these like life experiences that when you get out of the game, you're like, damn, I missed out on all these things. Yeah. How did you deal with that? Like when you did have to, cause I had a hard time dealing with it.
Yeah, it was, it's crazy. Like when you spend that first year and you have, cause football season goes straight through all the holidays, you know what I'm saying? And you always got FOMO, like family's traveling, and like everyone's having a great time during Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all that. So it's like, man, so when you experience that, you're like, oh, this is nice. Yeah. That first little breath of air.
Yeah.
And, but it's at the same time hard to adjust, because, you went from grinding, being a gym rat, having a purpose, to just being at home. And lucky for me, we had a newborn,
gave you some purpose to.
Yeah. It's like, now I'm here for these kids, be a good dad, be a good husband.
For sure.
And so I'm lucky to have had that distraction, because some guys get out and they don't have that, and it's like, now what the hell do I do?
Right.
It's like, I'm not getting some regular job now. Like I built this thing up that, not too many people have, and I need to take advantage of that. So, and that's something I'm still trying to figure out. Like I'm still, I've been retired for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, but I'm lucky that I gave myself enough, time, and
for sure,
to be able to figure that out. And I didn't have anything to fall back into, like my mom and dad were both retired, so some people have that, like, oh, I'm just gonna go into the family business after. I had no family business.
No, seriously.
So I'm still trying to figure that out, and
what does
figure
that
out what
like?
I want to do. And I'm always like, when the kids are both in school, I'm gonna, because I know there'll be a point where, like, man, I was able to spend a lot of time with my kids, like growing up. Until they got to school.
I think that's valuable,
because when they get both in school, it's like every day is like, what am I doing now? I need to do something.
Yeah,
now.
I think that's valuable, man. Like a piece that I've really appreciated is the fact that I can get up in the morning, cook my daughter breakfast, like, kick it with her before she heads off for her day. Like that's an undervalued piece that I think, a lot of guys, like you said, they get out the game and they don't have the family to tend to, or whatever the case may be. Like that's something that I've really appreciated is that time that I'm able to spend, because it only lasts for so long,
They're only little for so long, bro. I could have gotten into coaching, but every coach I've ever talked to was like, if you value family time, do not be a coach.
Man, I always
wait
say,
until they're older.
Man,
at least.
Yeah, because you don't, and that's something that I've dabbled in the coaching era, and I enjoy being around the fam, and it's like
if you can, like every guy I know that is grinding a 9 to 5 wishes they could spend time with their family, because especially with little kids, you know what I'm saying, because they're just seeing them just experience life and just being there for them, and like you said, just enjoying the little moments, like making them their favorite breakfast before they go to school and stuff, and and then they're grown adults for the whole life.
Exactly. You don't get in those like you can't make up for that lost time. Like you can go coach when you're 55. But there's no alternative to getting back those little moments that mean so much to you at the end of the day. Yeah, in my opinion. So. What does it look like for you? You say you're still trying to figure out like what you want to do. Obviously you have purpose, you have family. You seem, to be in a space where football is behind you from an aspect of like you're not trying to, hold on to those glory days. Like you seem to be at peace with where you're at.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you moving forward? What interests do you have? What brings you, that feeling?
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, like I was lucky to not carry that identity over being a football guy into post-retirement.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you work so hard your whole life, and then it's done. It's done. It's like you're a coach. If you're a coach, like you can do it till you're 80 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So when that stops, it's done. So I was lucky to have kids, like towards the end. So I could switch my identity to be like, okay, now my job is
be a dad,
to be the best dad I can be, the best husband I can be, And so that helped, for sure. And that's, like we were saying, like some guys don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think that's when guys kind of hit a hole.
Absolutely.
But right now, I've always had an interest in real estate, and that's something that we kind of started a couple years ago. Me and my wife flipped a home in the neighborhood and designed it and stuff, used a builder and all that. Yeah. And we're about to sell it, and then I find out my dad needs help staying, and living. My dad's 83 years old.
Oh, okay.
And he's been there for me since day one, my number one.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, I got to take care of this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't want to see him out in the streets.
No,
at 83,
for sure,
begging
no.
for money.
Absolutely not.
So we put him in a good situation. I was like, so it cost me a lot to move him in there, but it's like I think I have that obligation to take care of him now.
Yeah,
he took care of me.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't have been able to do this for him without him. So that's something he deserves.
Hell yeah.
And it's always fun taking care of your parents. It's like to be able to, even if it's for little things,
yeah,
it's like, man, you're finally paying them back.
For sure.
So we did that, and so the real estate like flipping thing, I'm just kind of letting him use that. Got my real estate license.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, dude. I had a couple of free months, and I just did it in person here in town, and did it in 2 months. You take the in-person classes, for 2 weeks, and then you take 2 tests.
Yeah.
And if you're in the, buying up homes, you save your little,
for sure,
3-4% on it.
Yeah.
So that was just one thing, and then I went up to Wharton for a business school provided by the NFL, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
There were a lot of guys, ex-NFL guys, that talked about what they got into, like super successful guys that transitioned. And I was like, and the business school, they get into everything. They bring in the best professors, and if anyone's out there, thinking of what they should do, like that's a great start, because you create, you get a lot of contacts. You meet some cool people. You learn some really cool things for 3-4 days, like full days, and you really get into all the details of it. And, it's like you're at the business school, and just super, super, super condensed.
Yeah.
And you get a little taste if that's what you mean. Some guys I know went to business, to get their MBA.
Nice.
And some close friends, and, it's a beast.
Yeah.
It's not a cakewalk.
For sure.
It's another 2 years of you,
grinding.
Yeah. If you got a family, young ones, it's tough to do. But I know how much that is worth to, certain companies if you work for them. So, that was always an option, which, I'm like, you don't need a degree or anything to get into real estate. You just buy it up.
Yeah.
And you just hold on to it and be smart about your investments and stuff. So there's a lot of football guys that get into real estate because they have the liquidity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can afford to, if you start small and you just build yourself up and figure it out along the way. So that's kind of like what I see myself kind of doing as the years go by,
real estate
and just slowly investing in things. And I enjoy the design aspect of it. Like, I remember being a little kid and drawing up like blueprints for my dad. My dad was a real estate agent.
Okay. So it's kind of embedded in you then to.
Yeah. Like I'd always go through the houses with my dad. He'd bring me to, his open house or whatever.
Yeah. I love that.
So I don't know. That's just something silly, but, and I'm trying to currently get my nutritionist certification, maybe as a potential job, like where I can, still be around the guys, like be it for Cardinals or whatever collegiate school around here.
Yeah, Arizona State, man.
That'd be tough.
It'd be tough for you.
But to be kind of like something that is interesting to me, like in real life, like nutritionist stuff, and I naturally enjoy like looking into that stuff anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you start, you know, you're a football player, you play so long. I think everyone that naturally gets into that stuff.
I think so
like,
too.
How am I going to extend my career?
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at the 1% of stuff to help.
Yeah.
You know, just anything, pain, inflammation, all that stuff. So you get, you know, and my dad had a heart attack back in 2016, I think, or no, 2014. And so then I became like, man, how do I
hyperfixated?
How do I? Yeah. So I became.
Did you help?
How did that happen to him? How can I prevent that from happening to me?
Yeah.
You know, is it genetics? What is it?
Yeah.
You know, so I took a deep dive into health and figured stuff out.
Man, that educating piece is big though. Like I feel
but
like
sometimes it takes something like that to happen to like open your eyes up. Like and like that's the only way I would have learned that. Like if he never had a heart attack, you know, I'd still probably not even care about it. Maybe, you know, and like maybe it would, you know, I would be at risk. You know, so you never know. And it's like you don't want to wait until something like that happens. But, you know, you realize your health is everything. When you're hurt, you experience that. When you're hurt, you know, it's like, man, you don't appreciate it when you're healthy, you know, and later in life, it's like, you know, anything can happen. So it's like, I need to be there for my kids.
Absolutely. Like, that's something that I've really been like, especially this past year, when I got done playing, I'm like, I'm trying to drop all of this playing weight. Yeah. Like, it's not healthy for me to be walking around 330 pounds, you know, like, so I've lost a ton of weight, but
you look great.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you. Same to you, man.
Trying, bro. I'm just trying not to get a dad bod.
Hey, it's almost inevitable, man. It's gonna happen at some point. But the health piece, I think, goes a long way for former athletes, especially football players, because you do see so much of like, you know, guys having these issues post career that I feel like my habits became better after I even got done playing.
Right.
Like certain things now, my nutrition is way better than when I played.
You probably feel so much better having that weight off.
Oh, man.
And for you, that's like, that's not even your natural weight. Like you guys have to like overeat, you know, just to keep your weight. Cause if you get up below a certain weight, it's like,
oh, you're getting pushed around.
Yeah, it's your job to be big. You know what I'm saying? And dude, there's so many O-linemen that after they finish, they lose like almost 100 pounds. Like I saw Justin Pugh the other day. I don't know if you connected with him.
Yeah, I have. He's a good dude. Yeah,
he is like just weighs just as much as me now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But it's cool to see. It just must be such a relief. And I know like some O-linemen I've talked to, like they're just that's all they're looking forward to. It's just like, let me just lose
get that weight off you, because subconsciously, subconsciously it does put a lot of pressure on you from how your joints feel, and then mentally, like what you're doing to your body, you know, walking around being that big. You guys
go through more hits than anybody on the field because you got to take on linebackers. You get hit from behind, knee stuff, head stuff from linebackers. Like safety's coming down. Like I was lucky to play outside linebacker, bro. I had it. Let me just contain.
Put
let me go up against this tight end
for sure.
Extend, stay off a block. Like I didn't sustain much, you know, comparatively to other guys. You know, I had some like soft tissue stuff, but I was lucky to play that position. Like I remember they were trying to move me to middle linebacker, and I'm like, hell no. I'm not that guy, X's and O's guy, where I'm like, you know, I'm not in charge of. You tell me I got to make checks for the D-line? I could barely get myself lined up. Bro.
I'm trying to figure this thing out.
Let me go pass rush.
Right,
I promise I'll do better.
Nah, that's cool, man. Like I said, bro, I appreciate you, man. This thing kind of went by fast that we got down sitting down and talking, but I appreciate just the dude that you are. Always been super solid. Like I said, when I got to Atlanta, I think, you know, one of the best things about you was how vocal you were and how cool we were. Like even little things in the hallway, or if I got beat, whatever, you would tell me, you know, a difference that I could do. And it was just good. It was refreshing to have that vet that you could look to and knew that they meant well to you. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. You know, it was always refreshing to see when like a younger guy would come up and ask, because so many young guys think they have it down, you know, and that was that's everyone's, you know, first mistake when they do that, like that ego of like, I'm going to be me, you know, my style, I'm going to bring my style and I don't need help. Like for you to be humble enough to do that and ask, like, not too many guys do that, and that's why you lasted so long.
For sure,
you know what I'm saying, and you took advantage of your situation. So you know, I could tell like you were a hungry player. You know, and it's fun to, you know, it's like I don't even bat an eye of trying to help someone. You know, as best I can.
Yeah,
you know? And you're an old lineman.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. It's for just so to go across the line and ask someone like, hey, you know, like asking me like where do I want to put my hand, like detailed stuff, and so that's really cool. And I always felt like I bonded better with my personality.
Yeah,
though,
you
like,
definitely have
in college and stuff. Like I was always kind of nerdy, so like, I always bonded with the O lineman for some reason. So
it is funny because you don't really see a lot of D linemen bonding with O linemen, but you always had good aura around the O line. That's just a natural thing. I was
always chilling with the O line.
Yeah,
it was funny.
Nah, man, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, we ran into each other at the park the other day, and it was
with the kids.
Yeah, with the kids, it was so random. I'm like, oh shit, bro,
you live by here?
Yeah. So
everyone lives here in Phoenix.
Bro, everyone lives here, and I'm just
wants to be
exactly
this time of year.
Exactly, and I'm just a believer that everything happens for a reason. So appreciate you coming on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Man. This is my first podcast.
Podcast. Yeah, we had to get that out the way. Hopefully you do more, man. You got a good podcast aura about yourself.
I'll just be a guest.
All right, cool.
you do the asking the question.
All right, cool. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys listening to this episode of For the Underdogs podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all those good things, and I'll see you soon. Yeah. Hell yeah. That was good. That was good. We had some good football talk on there.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I know. He did good.
Well, he does a good job of, keeping it